I want to talk to you about my friend Charlie Crawford. He's a 10-time NFR qualifier.
Charlie Crawford, time to just shake it out and win. Got it on him fast, set
there
up.
We are.
Here's a day
nice
money
run.
lead. You betcha 3-8.
That's an absolute perfect run. Timing was perfect from the time the first swing is up. He's got the control. Charlie made it happen by being timed up with his horse with the steer, and being able to not just rope, but to pick that steer's head up without changing the momentum for the heeler at all.
We know his beautiful wife, Jackie, all three of their beautiful children, the founder of the Liberty and Loyalty Foundation, which this year will exceed $1 million raised for military and first responders. I've said it 1,000 times. Charlie, it's time to rope, nod and ride, whip and spur. I want to welcome you to the Charlie Crawford Podcast. Let's ride.
Ropers, are you ready to step up your game? My online course, The Basics of Roping, is built for beginners, but packed with tools to help ropers of all levels sharpen their skills. With over 2 hours of instruction, frame-by-frame swing breakdowns, when to turn your hand over to keep your loop open, when and where to let go of your rope so you can get the horns in the middle of that loop, over 15 dummy drills to simulate real-life runs, you'll have everything you need to improve. Go to charlycrawford.training and follow the link under the course tab to get started today.
All right. Well, I've said I've been excited about some podcasts before, but nothing like this one. This is I've gotten to where I've talked with Chad Masters and Luke Brown on the podcast before, and talked about getting Bob and Big Luke on this podcast before, and then the amount of DMs and messages that I've gotten about getting Nick on, Nick Driggers, Big Luke, and Bob on at the same time, and I'm like, let's do it. So thanks, guys, for coming on. Bob,
thank you.
Chad let you get away from the house right here, so hopefully he's getting some stuff done without you.
Yeah, he called to see if I got here.
Big Luke, nobody, the dog didn't bite you on the way here, did he? You know, we've got a dog here that he's only bit 2 people, you and Daryl. And I question the fact that, like, I wonder if there's something to that.
He's a pretty classy dog.
Me and Daryl is long.
Here, pull that thing a little bit closer. Breaker 19.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, there we go. So what, Big Luke, what is it with dogs?
I just don't like it. I have no use for them.
I think the feeling's mutual.
They can feel it.
And they feel the same way because they coming straight for me.
They do. It's crazy. It's funny.
Shit, when he gets through eating, he ain't throwing it out to no damn dog. I can tell you that right now. It ain't nothing left.
Nick, I seen where Caleb's been starting that gold buckle fraternity. You know, now that he's got so much more time on his hands, he started a fraternity, and I seen where he's got stud fees and getting them studs and stuff like that going. Have you guys thought about like selling semen? Of, you know, the fact that you guys have produced some of the best ropers in the world. Have you guys thought about, you know, maybe syndicating your kids?
I've had a couple of offers, but the money ain't right yet.
Man, Luke's been talking about this. We have discussed this same subject.
We've been going to the bar trying to get somebody. But we ain't yet.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna starve.
Oh, I doubt it. I've seen what the stud fees are on head horses.
I think we're gonna starve to death.
Have you guys been paying attention to the memes on social media here lately with Doug Arnew? I think that's how you pronounce his name. Gosh, the memes have been awesome, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you have? I know Shano. He sent me a bunch of them, but the one of my favorite ones was when they had T Wade crossed out there, and they had that guy sticking one for
Wesley.
for Wesley at the NFR. They had one where they had Jake. I think Jake Barnes and Clay Cooper were putting a clinic on, and they scratched Jake Barnes' name out and put Doug's on there. The memes have been great. Have you read that? So this is what he had. So this team roping, etc. on social media has got to be blowing up because I'm telling you, they had some foot traffic this week. And old Doug put on there, he said, "Hello, healers. I'm looking for a number 4 healer to rope with in the 7.5s at the WSTR, the NTRs, OTRs, and other ropings within 2 hours of Mineral Wells. You must be able to consistently catch all 3 rounds. Sorry, but if you can't catch all 3 per forehead consistently, don't apply. Go practice. Go to some clinics and get better. My catch rate has been in the 80% or better. I have been to 2 WSTR shorts and several other short rounds this year. And I have turned the last 23 of 24 in the last 5 ropings, only to go home empty-handed to lack of focus on the healing side." Love this guy. "I am not perfect. Nobody is, but I have been working hard to get a high percentage rate of catching. If you can do the same, we could set the 7.5s on fire." I called Luke and asked him about this. He goes, "Finally, somebody said it." We've all been thinking. And then T Wade, he commented on there. He goes, "Heck yeah, Doug! Don't let these healers cut these healers any slack. I've had to give Wesley Thorpe the same spill, and he finally came around."
Wesley wrote something back to him.
I think he had some kind of video or something out there with it.
It was last night, yeah.
It's gone crazy wild. My favorite one was one of my other favorite ones was they had Trump sign an executive order. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I like that.
You must catch for Doug.
You must catch.
Yeah, it's been crazy wild. Yeah, I mean, he's already been on a podcast already. Oh, he was on the flatbed the other day, and so yeah, he needs a merchandise contract going on right now because he's fixing to hawk Tui some T-shirts and ball caps.
Why didn't we think of that, Bob?
I don't know. I don't think of nothing much.
There's that one right there where Doug's sticking one for Thorpe at the NFR.
I don't know that guy.
I don't either. I've heard a lot of guys talk about him on social media, and he sounded like a sweet guy. Just sounded like he was wanting to win something.
Yeah, he's there.
And said what we all thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to find the ones where you could see the executive orders by Trump. That one was a good one. Yeah, that one's been pretty good. So for one, I thought it was also pretty cool in the fact of how close do y'all, so Big Luke, how close do you live to Luke?
About 700-800 feet.
Yeah. Nick, how far do you and Caleb live?
About the same.
Yeah. And then Bob?
I live in the barn. So.
Living right on the same property.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that was always something that I thought was really cool in the fact that you don't see that very often where things stay tight. I love that. So when I talked to Luke, Big Luke, he was talking about, he's like, "Man, me and my dad, we've been best friends forever." You know, so for one, how in the heck would you be able to maintain that with in a son-father relationship?
I can't really tell you, but I've got that with all 3 of them. With Cody and Jay's the same way. Luke and Jay, Debbie always said that I grew up with Luke and Jay, and I was the one that never grew up. They did, but I didn't. And Cody came along a little bit later in life, like 10 years in between them. And we've just, I don't know how to explain it, but like we can fall out, cuss one another, fuss at one another, the whole 9 yards, and just be like you're mad as everything. 5 minutes later, go to the restaurant and eat supper and not even think about what you've said. So it just, I don't know, Charlie, I've wondered that too, because, I mean, I'm just close to all 3 of them, and Actually, I'll say this. I've got 3 daughter-in-laws. They're not exactly alike, but I get along with all 3 of them and don't have no problem with none of them. So I don't really know.
I would say it's probably pretty hard to be mad when you're laughing all the time. I would probably say that.
Now, you might have a point there. I mean,
Well, Jackie and I, we talk about it all the time. Like, how in the heck are we going to maintain, that relationship as it gets older? Because that is some of the pitfalls. It seems like they go through. I've heard the 3 phases. At first they idolize you, then it seems like about the time they get their driver's license, and then demonize you. Then it seems like about 25, then they start humanizing you and start realizing, oh, that's what they were talking about. So it seems like there's some phases it goes through by the time.
like mine, when they do something wrong, like Debbie would tell me, you need to go in there and fuss at them. So I'd go in there and shut the bedroom door, and I'd cuss Luke out, cuss Jay out, or whatever. They'd be sitting there laughing. I'd turn around and walk out. I said, damn it, you got that now? And they'd say, yeah. And then Debbie would say, did they understand? I said, I'm pretty sure they did. And it was over. I mean, the fussing was over then. They didn't pay me no attention. I didn't let little things they did. I don't know how to say it, but I didn't let little things like Jay. We left one time, go to the radio, come in. Jay got drunk, 15 years old. She had a brand new vacuum cleaner. Where he threw it up, he sucked it all up in the cleaner. The next morning, Debbie goes to vacuum and she smells it. She goes in there and looks at Jay, and then naturally she comes to me. Jay's drunk. And I said, well, I'll show him something. So I said, let's go to the barn. You're going to work your ass off all day. So we go to the barn, and I said, Jay, you get up on top of that hay. If I holler, you come down quick, your mama will be coming, but you sleep until she gets here. He said, okay. So, and then by the time she'd come out there, he was so, damn, I'm tired. So I just kind of, I don't let a lot they do bother me. Same way with the grandkids.
Yeah.
Carson, he's not perfect, but he's pretty close to it. Mindy is, and so is Libby, and then Cody's got the little boy. I don't let a lot they bother me. I just take it as it comes. And
Nick, one of the things that I've always wanted to talk to you about too was like when I would always notice Caleb is I never seen his emotions ever get to where you seen them. Where I think there's so many kids that I've seen growing up that could really idolize that in the fact of, I never seen him lose his stuff on his horses. The only time I've ever seen him throw a fit is because he was trying to be funny. And he was laughing the whole time. And it wasn't a fit. It was just the fact that he was just making fun of himself. Was it something he was wired, or was it something he just knew better than?
I don't know. He was probably about 11, 12 years old. And it was at a U.S. roping. And they come back in the short round, high team. He's healing for his cousin. His cousin breaks the barrier, and he catches a steer and turns him, and Caleb heals him, and then just like kind of throws his little fit, So when he rides out, I catch him headed to the trailer. He was mad, and he was so expecting to win something, and then when it didn't happen, he was frustrated, but he let it come out in his temper. I got a bad temper, so I have to just try to, control it as much as you can. So when he did that, I met him at the trailer, and I said, listen, you're fixing to tie your horse up, loosen him up. You're going back up there to apologize. You're going to apologize to your partner. You're going to apologize to the flagger. We can't apologize to everybody there that might have saw it because we don't know who all might have saw it. But I said, you're going to go apologize to them too. And a good friend of mine, Dudley Bourne, was flagging the roping. So whenever Caleb, we find him, he's it was the last roping, I guess. So Dudley had gone to the stall barn. When I finally found Dudley, Caleb headed to him, and he's crying. He comes up there, and of course Dudley's, he's a great guy. So he gets Caleb, and he talks to him, and I don't hear what they say or anything, but I just sit there and watch him. Finally, he gets done. He hugs Caleb, and all's okay. So Caleb comes back. He's got tears running down his face. And that's the last time I ever saw him do that.
Yeah.
Like he just you might be able to tell kind of like he was disappointed, like if he misses or messes up or something, or something like that, you may see him kind of hang his head, but he doesn't.
Yeah, his integrity, I've always thought, since he's competed, was always something to look up to, because there's very few of them that I've seen that to where, they might be like a duck, like Martin Lucero used to say, they're calm and cool above the water, but internally they're paddling their feet, but so you never can tell. And so it was always cool that he maintained that. And I've always enjoyed that about him too. And Bob, so when what are some of the things that I was talking with Chad earlier, and he was talking about, I heard about you hazing for him in the steer wrestling, trying to help him get ready for the timed event, but I didn't know he was doing it on Cody. Was he doing it on Cody? Was that right?
Whatever we was on at the time. I said, we can do this.
So talk about how you were trying to get Chad ready for the timed event, and he was hazing for him.
Oh, it was pretty good. I didn't do a very good job of hazing. But Chad did throw the first steer he got off of.
Yeah.
The very first steer he got down on, he threw it. And the next one, then things went a little bad after that. 2 knees. He had two different the Ironman thing said two new knees.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when he blew his knee out there. Luke, he was telling me about when you hazed for him and the steer jumped in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
He told me that was on Cody.
Yeah. That was pretty much of a wreck. Yeah.
So he knocked old Chad out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hollered back, I don't think this horse is going to work, Chad. He wasn't even 2. He was knocked out.
I know what you're talking about. You was asking me. Yeah, that was.
He wasn't quite as hard headed.
He had to learn to be tough.
Yeah.
Chad did.
And he is, I would say, because he cracks me up when the amount of things, like, because I remember when he blew his knee out, I was there because I was helping him at the timed event, and I think he tore almost everything away from everything. I think he tore everything all the way around his knee, and he was trying to get up and walk out. He's like, no, if my dad's here, I'm walking out. And he was trying to walk, and he was green. He was hurting so much. But you watch all the NFL guys when they blow their knee out, and they're just in agony, just up and down, and nothing. He did not move. He didn't show no emotion. He was begging everyone that I'm walking out of here. So yeah, it was definitely ingrained in him. But I would say the one thing that I had the most fun about with Chad was, even before I knew him, the happiest, always smiling, had the best attitude. You could never get him down. So, like, for me, how did you help instill that in him?
He was pretty much born like that. I think he took after his mom. He's always been a great sport, and he never did act stupid like I did. He was always calm and quiet, and I did all the talking.
And then you worked for what, Pepsi for 30 years and 32 years. And then you guys roped all the time when you guys were home growing up, correct? Out there in Tennessee?
Yeah, every day.
I remember when we lived over there with me and Garrett Jess lived over there with Chad, and you was there all the time. I remember, I forgot what Garrett did, but you just put him down on a list of the amount of dumb things he did. So we could probably pick one of them out of the 10, but I think he drove off with the extension cord, maybe still plugged in the barn, and blew the breaker out or something like that. And I think when he came back, he said, Garrett, I think the only way you get dumber is if you were taller.
Yeah, he's about 6'5". I said, Derek, you could probably get dumber, but you'd have to be taller. He run over the mailbox too. Yeah. When he come back, he said, somebody said, the last time I was here, he said, when I left, was the mailbox up? And I said, no.
Yeah, he cut the corner and run the mailbox right over. And that was not too long after he forgot to pull the gas pump out of his truck. When he filled it up, just drove off and then pulled it out from underneath from the getaway deal over there on the gas tank. So yeah, we had a lot of those instances there at that time. It was pretty funny. What about I remember Big Luke was telling me about when he was healing. And he said he came home and he was like dead set, we're going to work on healing. We're going to get better at it. And he said the first thing he said he needed to do is quit like leaning to the right.
Yeah. Yeah. He said I hadn't quit leaning. I tilted my head or something. So when he come in the next day, I had a damn string tied to my head, tied to my belt loop. And he was dying laughing. But it didn't work either. So, you just do things this, shouldn't listen to him all the time. He's not a genius, but he thinks
Bob, what about what I heard the conversation about these guys giving you crap? Was it one of you guys, Big Luke, I'm betting it was probably you, telling him to take Chad's credit card and go buy you Polaris?
Oh, yeah. Luke won gave it to Luke, and I said, well, okay, well, Chad's going to win one today. And so, hell, he didn't win it. And Luke said, well, it wasn't your fault. Just get the card, go buy one. Said, you did it. You did all. It wasn't your fault. He didn't win it. Just go buy one.
Nick got one too. You're the only one that didn't get one.
Yeah.
I mean,
I still hadn't got one.
That's town of bullshit. You drive a golf cart. You don't even have a car.
Yeah.
It's got two daisies on the top of
it. He said, heck, when Nick runs out of gas, he just goes and gets the other one that he won.
Yeah.
When Bob runs out of charge, he has to go get the battery and charge it.
Them boys ain't gonna charge no batteries. They ain't gonna put no fuel in whatever vehicle they're driving. They're not putting fuel in it. You're lucky if you don't run out wherever you go. What's any one of them boys? That's coming over here from where we're from, over there on the other side of the river. That was it's pretty unique.
From Tennessee to Texas?
Yeah, pretty unique deal. Chad called me. Him and Luke had moved down here, and I said, well, I need to come see you. And he said, well, we live in a town here, right in town. And so I said, okay, I'll look it up on you had to look it up on your road atlas at that time. So I said, where you lived? He says, the biggest city in Morgan Mills. So sure enough, I found it, and I go down there. I come down here, and I found their place, and they said, you live real close to the grocery store. And I stopped at that grocery store. That guy was trying to help me find where it was. And when I finally found him, I was talking about that man. I said, boy, that man and that woman over at that grocery store, boy, they some nice people. And they said, that's tough. Hedeman's mother-in-law and dad-in-law that owns that. And I said, well, they didn't act like no celebrities. They just acted normal. They said, you live close to Judge Jackson, next door to Judge Jackson. I thought they said Judge Jackson. So I got the tractor stuck one time. And they told me, they said, watch out when you start over there through the weeds. Said, there's an old tank over there. And you might get stuck. So I get over and I'm hunting a tank everywhere. I mean, to tell you, I've looked the whole morning. I've looked for a tank, and it ain't long till I run off in this pond and got stuck. And I never did. I never did see a tank. Well, they said, "Don't worry, we'll call Judd." And I thought they said judged. And then, so sure enough, here comes a wrecker. Hit a little while. And Chad calls me and he says, "Is Judd there yet?" And I'm still thinking he's saying judge. And I said, "No, some skinny cowboy is driving the wrecker." It was Judd. Well, after I stuck the tractor, I stuck the truck too, tried to get it out. So Judd comes, he's going to pull us all out. So he hooked all of it, stuck the wrecker. Stuck the wrecker. So he goes back and he gets that big one. I'm talking about monster. He puts shocks under it. He runs a cable out there to it and stuff, and he pulls it all out at one time.
I'm laughing at him, but I was just as dumb. Rainey Graham built her place. Her mama asked me, said, "You can go back there and dig a tank, can't you?" I said, "Huh." I said, "I don't build tanks." She said, "You don't dig tanks?" I said, "No, ma'am." I said, "I call Wally. Walker Wallace." I said, "He builds tanks." And then they explained it to me. Then she asked me about shredding a pasture. I said, "Do what now?" She said, I want you to shred the pasture." I said, "I ain't got no damn shredder." She said, "You don't bush hog?" I said, "I do that."
They told me the first time I was going to bush hog, they called it shredding it. So they said, "But down here, you got to watch for them little old bushes that's got, the little trees that's got briars on them, them's mesquite." So I never had seen a mesquite in my life. I never even heard of one, really.
Hell, I thought mesquite trees was peach trees.
So when I got through, I cut everything. I just cut it all down, and they said that was bad. That was a bad move. Them things gonna come back up. They gonna be worse. I didn't do very good with the shred neither.
I think about the tank with the best example that I've heard of it was they said a pond was man-made, and then they said a tank was basically a stock tank to where you basically caught the water that was coming in. Because I was the same way when I came down here from Oregon. I was like, that don't look like no tank. Looks like a pond.
Why don't they call it a cistern? That's more what it is.
Oh, when we got here too, they lived in a barn. I thought they were just sleeping in hay. Yeah, but sure enough, it had 3 stalls in it, and then they opened this door, and I thought they was going in the tack room or feed room, and sure enough, there's a little old house in there. It had a TV and one chair.
This was Chad and Luke when they lived together, right?
Mm-hmm. And they raced to get in that chair. And they had been telling me about the chair leaning. Said it leans. You gotta, when you sit in it, it leans way, way over. So you gotta lay down in it nearly to sit in it. And sure enough, I walked in there, the back of it was laying nearly at the floor. And I just picked it up and run it down in the little channels. And they said, "Well, how'd you fix that?" And neither one of them could fix nothing, boy. I mean,
it took too much time to rope. We didn't have time to fix anything, and we broke on the way there.
That's all they did, rope.
When we first came out here and seen Luke, we'd go to, he was going to Allen Box and roping every day. And it blew my mind. And we come home one night, and I told Debbie, I said, "How damn, when does anybody work out here?" I said, "I ain't seen nobody work yet." I said, "Al's roping all day, Luke's roping all day, Chad's roping all day. How the hell they living?" I just didn't ever imagine you could honestly make a living roping. And it was eye-opener for me.
Well, when they work as hard at it as your three boys did, they figured out a way, that's for sure.
And then when Nick and Caleb came out here, Luke, he take me over to see them. And we pull in. Caleb's sitting up on the back of the horse trailer. He got his legs hanging off, and he's got two ropes tied together. And he's one swinging and just cutting his horns off this cow. You know, he just roping that dummy every time. So we start home, and I look over and I said, What'd you think, Luke? And he said, hell, they ain't gonna let him put that horse trailer in no rodeo ground. You know, he got to ride a horse like everybody else.
This is a specialty act. You have to get a horse.
Nick standing there betting everybody. Say, I bet he can't do it. She looked at Caleb and said, miss this time. I bet 50 on you.
Nick, what was some of the differences coming here from Georgia for here to Texas?
A lot of difference.
Did you ever get stuck in a tank?
Knock on wood, I haven't got stuck. I did have to stop and think a few times when somebody talk about a tank or something. Some guys was out here one day and talking, and they said, have you ever busted? And I said, yeah, pretty good bit, you know, them getting around some of them cults and stuff, you know, that they get out for money every now and then. They look at me, you know, like, no, not falling off. We're talking about like steer tripping, you know, steer tying. I knew what steer tripping was, but I didn't know what busting was.
They used to always ask me that all the time. You ever bust any? Not intentionally.
Right.
But I have busted a few on accident.
I had been out here a couple of years, I guess, and we'd go back to visit our parents and stuff, you know, and so I went back home and stopped in, and there was 3 or 4 guys kind of gathered up. I met them there at the little restaurant we used to eat at there. Met in there with them and was sitting in there, and they was talking to me, you know, back and forth. Says, well, how you like Texas? I said, man, I want to tell you, I'm just damn stressed out. I'm just stressed. And, what? For what? What are you doing? I mean, you retired, you moved out there. What are you stressed about? I said, man, you don't understand. I said, every night they have 2 or 3 jackpots around, and you got to sit there and try to figure out which one you want to go to. It stresses you out.
True. Especially coming from Georgia, because I imagine there, when they have one, that probably everybody goes, because there's probably not as many, correct?
Yeah, if you find one to go to, and usually if you're going to go to a decent jackpot, you're going to have to drive 3 or 4 hours somewhere or more.
Yeah, and what is it for you guys? 10, 12 minutes?
Maybe.
Now, what did you do for work? Because I know you retired. I forgot what you said you did.
I worked for the Federal Aviation Administration. I worked 32 years in the maintenance department, maintaining radar systems, power systems, engine generators, air conditioning.
I remember when you came out here, you got bored, and then so you started helping all of us fix all of our stuff that we break.
Yeah.
There's many ropers here. I bet that got overwhelming fast, because we break a lot of stuff in our trade, intentionally, unintentionally. Sometimes we break it, we don't even touch it.
and I've noticed when ropers break something, they definitely don't know how to fix it.
No.
Nothing.
Somewhere I had a man times that something you'd come over and fix something. Well, what do you think it is? I think it's something by the flux capacitor. And that oscillator valve, I think's loose. I got to go rope.
I remember one time I come over here and you said, I think it was a 4-wheeler, and I said, man, it was running fine and on. It shut off, and then, I don't know, it won't crank back up. Kind of sputtered a time or two. So I get over there and I'm looking, and I start trying to crank it. So I'm looking at it. So I took the gas cap off. It's dry down there, so I put some gas in it and crank it up.
Happens a lot around here.
Which I don't know if you was driving. I think maybe one of you get helpers or something.
Either way, it happens a lot.
Caleb, he had they was going up to Rapid City, and so like a lot of times the guys all kind of go together and they'll load up several horses and take off. So he had a 6-horse, didn't have a generator built on it. So I had a little portable in there, and he said, look, see if that generator run or whatever you need to do, get it running so I can take it with me. So I get out there and check everything, crank it up, runs, and everything, but it don't have much gas. And of course the gas cans are empty, sitting there at the barn. So I couldn't fill it up. And I told him, I said, when you stop, get fuel or whatever, you're going to need to fill up your generator. Well, they leave. I don't remember later on the next day or whenever he calls me, was that generator any good? I said, yeah, it cranked right up, so no problem, but it won't start. I don't know, what, they had run it going up there, I guess, and it run out of gas. So then when I get up there and it's really cold, I think it was snowing too, they're trying to get that generator running to heat that trailer up. And he's around there, they around there struggling with the generator. I guess none of them even thought of looking to see if it had gas in it. So I said, have you checked to even see if it's got gas in it? Let me call you back.
Big Luke, I know for the longest time, people would mistake you for Luke because you guys are identical. And you didn't age either. He said he never grew up, but he also never aged. And how many times did you, when someone would just call you Luke, you just ran with it?
There's been a bunch of times. There's been a bunch of times people would just say, well, you going to make the NFR this year? Well, I feel sure I am. Who you roping with? And whoever Luke's roping with at the time, I just say, yeah, walk off. They don't say nothing else,
What, I think Chad, maybe, or Luke was telling me about Cole Thomas. You had him.
I can't remember what we told Cole. Luke oh, I do know. Yeah, that's the boy from Georgia or Alabama.
I think he's a tall boy.
Yeah, big old boy. Luke told him I was a stunt man in Hollywood. So he's sitting at, I think it was Houston. I don't know where it was, Houston last year, San Antonio. And he comes over, and I didn't know him. I had no idea Luke had told him this. And he comes just flopping over there and sits down beside me, and he said, you like California? I said, yeah, pretty good. He said, is it hard to do them stunts? And I kind of look around, and I said, no, not really. And by that time, I see Luke, and he's just nodding like that. And so I just, there for the longest, he thought I was a stunt man. And so he finally, I think Libby's the one that told him that I wasn't. But
Couldn't remember if it was that or wrestling a bear or something. I forget.
there was the little old boys that lived beside us, Keaton Roan and them. They asked me what I did for a living back home. And I just looked at him, and Brad, that was when Brad was down there. And I said, I wrestle bears for the circus back home. And he said, no shit. He got all into it. And Luke and Brad, they want to laugh, but they're trying to hold it. And Brad sitting there saying, you ever seen wrestle one? It was pretty good. It was pretty good. But
what about the one when you first met Chad? When
I Swanee, I know where I met him at. I remember meeting him at I think it was Richie Herman's in North Carolina. He was down there with Sam Smith, but I didn't know Chad. And then Chad said what I said to him, and I'm sure I did. But Luke called me one time, wanted me to enter a rodeo with him and Chad, wanted me to heel for both of them. And I said, who is this damn Chad Masters? He said, yeah, I'm telling you, this boy can stick. And I said, you need to come heel for both of them. We're both trying to make the IRA final. You need to come heel for both of them. I said, I don't know, Luke. I said, I don't want to ride no hour just to rope with Chad Masters, and I don't even know him. He said, I'm telling you, he can Long story short, next year Chad went to the world. And I said, "Oh, this is Chad Baxter." So me and Chad have laughed about that. Who is this Chad Baxter?
He was telling me that when you walked up to him somewhere, because they've been traveling together and you'd never met, and he walked up to him and he didn't know who he was, and
Chad.
Mm-hmm. Said something about where you said, "Hey, what do you think about Luke Brown?"
He swears that. So I'm sure I did. I'm sure I did. I'm sure I did. And then I went on to say, "Don't say nothing bad about him." I'm pretty sure it's probably true. But I can remember he was with Sam, and they're just one of them things that happens, in life. Thankfully, he never got mad about it.
Yeah, I remember he said that you walked up and said, "What do you think about that?" He had no idea that you was his dad or nothing. "Oh, man, he's awesome." And he said, well, now what do you really think about it? Well, he dang sure tries hard, doesn't he? And he said, "Don't you speak like that about my son." He said, and then he walked off. I said, "I've never seen him again for 7 years after that." I thought it made him mad.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it one bit. That's probably true.
That sounds perfect.
But I was walking through the Golden Nugget, and Bobby Harris was hollering, "Luke." Well, when I turned around, it just looked like it floored him, and he just kind of waved and just took off the other way. So that evening, Debbie always went through the line where y'all signed autographs, and she'd always get them for Carson if he wasn't there. So as we're going through there, Bobby Harris looks up at me and he was sitting beside Martin. He started laughing, and he said, "You got me." He said, "But I'm telling you what, I have never seen two people walk alike and look so much alike from the back." And he was just laughing about it. That's one of them things.
Bob, I remember I was talking to Luke, and he was telling me about the first round of the first steer he ever ran at the NFR. And he said he was back there.
That was one of the funniest things that ever happened. And I don't know about the very first one, but the first one he won the round though. That was hilarious right there. Luke, he makes the finals. We go out there and it ain't long. He wins a round. And we go over there to South Point. And I go in, and there sits Debbie Brown she's got one of them one-armed bandits, and she's done turned that stool around. She's sitting on it, and she's watching these idiots. And I mean, him and Ross Lowry and a whole bunch of boys from over there in Georgia and North and South Carolina and stuff, they drunk ain't even drunk ain't even the name for it. I'm telling you, they're crawling around drunk. And I look over at Debbie, and she's sitting there, and she don't crack a smile or nothing. She just shakes her head back and forth. That was the craziest bunch that I ever saw that night right there. I said, I don't even know why they let them stay in there. It was crazy.
Chad said he was like, Big Luke come up to him. He said, "I can't tell." You want to? I want you to tell that one.
No.
Chad come over and he said, "Big Luke's kissing me again." I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
We come out the back of that place of after you get your buckle, and Ross had got two them Pendletons. He didn't crack one; he cracked them both, and it was just gurgling when me and Ross was drinking it. And Luke was trying to stop me, and he tried to stop me, and then he'd try to stop Ross. And we each one had a bottle. I vaguely remember very little about that night.
That's the truth.
I remember some girl, he gave me his round buckle that he won that night. First round he ever won, he gave me the buckle. I can't tell you who the woman was that put it on my belt buckle. But there wasn't no way I was going to put it on there. I don't remember who that was that did that. One of them boys wise put that buckle on. Luke laughed. Did
Yeah.
they was dying, man. But he's right. Debbie was pissed.
She wasn't saying nothing. Nothing. She was just shaking her head. She wasn't grinning, frowning, nothing. She was just sitting there going like her eyes rolling. She's shaking her head back and forwards. Like, I don't know him.
Chad said Luke come over there and he's like, man, I'm so happy that you helped him in this and give me a big old hug. He said he kissed me on the lips and he said, and he held it for a second.
Chad, I can't believe how much you've helped. You've helped Luke. I don't even know how we're going to go about ever paying you back, and he'd kiss him. He would have been a chance to kiss me one more time, Dan. I'm leaving.
I don't doubt I didn't do it, but I don't remember it.
I would stick with that.
No, you wouldn't remember. You wouldn't.
My first round that I won, it took me 62 tries. I was a slow learner. And I bought the steer. I have them out here in the pasture. I called them Finally.
Finally.
It's my adversity steer. We talk a lot. Well, me and Mosey win the round, and I've never, like I said, I've never won a round before. Well, we get down there and we're doing all the press release stuff down there behind the Thomas Mack underneath there. And well, we get done doing all our interviews, and I said, all right, Mosey, man, good work. Give us a high five. And I said, see you over there at South Point. Or I said, no, I said, I'll see you at the Gold Coast. And I walked off, and Ryan goes, whoa, are you kidding? No. The Gold Coast. Yeah. That's where the winners go, right? He goes, no. He goes, this ain't 1985 or 89. He goes, it's at the South Point. I said, they changed it? I said, man, when I was roping the cowboy toy when I was a little kid, I said everyone went to the Gold Coast after they'd win the round. I had no idea it was at the South Point.
The first time Chad won around, the very first time he came here, we went to the Gold Coast. It was in 202, maybe 203. So, and they was doing it at the Gold Coast, and then they built the South Point. Yeah.
I remember Luke was telling me, he said, I run my first steer at the NFR, and he says, man, I get out late, and I bounce this sucker off the back end. I think we was like 6. We was clean. And I get back there. He says, Bob Masters come up and said, man, of all people, I thought you'd be able to get a good start and run at that thing. And he said, and then he walked off. And he goes, well, I need to get a better start. He goes, from then on, he said, that was the best advice I ever had. He said, I run at that barrier every time after that.
He got on Chad one year, and he told Chad, he said, son, you got to run to the cow. You got to get to the cow.
Got to run to the cow. Yeah.
Run to the cow. Chad run to the cow the first 3 rounds, and the 4th night, Bob said, Chad, you got to get that damn rope out of your hand. You ain't going to win nothing.
This is a time event.
He said, well, Bob, you said run to the cow. Forget that shit. You got to get that rope out of your hand. Chad threw his hand. Well, he's back at the back. Chad threw his hands up. He said, what do you do? Luke said, throw the damn rope. But it was so funny. For 3 nights in a row, that's like, Chad, you got to run that cow. You got to run that cow. 3 nights in a row, we heard that. And then it would, get that damn rope out of your hand.
So when Big Luke, when you guys were roping, Luke said no one loved to rope more than you did. So when you guys grew up, when you guys were out there roping in the Carolina, South Carolina, correct? Rock Hill?
Yeah.
Like, how did you guys get transportation from what did you guys rope? What was your arena like? And then how did you guys get to the jackpots?
Well, we didn't go to many jackpots when we first, because I didn't really start till he was about 9 and Jay was about 7, and all they had was 2 ponies, and I had a horse. And they would go with me. I belonged to a little old club, and I'd load them in the back of a pickup truck. Back to a ditch, we'd load them in the truck. After everybody got through roping, I'd turn them steers, me and another boy, Larry West. We would turn them steers, and they would heel them on them ponies. Then as it went on, I started buying, we got Luke a horse, and Jay would move up to Luke's pony, because Luke would have a bigger pony and everything. And then Jay just said he was done. He didn't care about roping, so then we bought a horse trailer, like a 12-foot maybe stock trailer, and we would use it. But there wasn't a lot of places to go. We didn't know a lot of people back then, really. We didn't know where to go. And it wasn't until we joined the local rodeo association, SRA, we met a lot of people through it, and then we'd hear about jackpots and we'd go to them that way. And by then we had a trailer. But one of the fellas told me, his name was David Clark. He told me one day, he said, if you want to make Luke the best roper in the world and the best rider in the world, you beg, you borrow, you buy cheap horses. He said, do not buy him good horse. Anybody can rope off a good horse. Anybody. It takes somebody that knows how to rope off of a horse. So I did what he said, and Luke rode. If I'd come home in the evening, we had 15 steers at the house. He'd be standing in the arena with every horse we had, 8 or 9 horses, saddled, the steers pinned, and his mama standing there ready to work the box. He had everything ready every evening I come home. So it was really, easy for me. I'd come in at 4 o'clock and we'd rope the dark. We didn't have Debbie didn't want me to put lights up because she knew we'd stay out there too long. So we didn't put lights up. We did that. I think that was one of the best things. He didn't ride no outlaw. They'd be like pleasure horses or something like that. But the steers was where we're from. If you run a medium steer, that's a fast steer back, most of them slow and everything. But I just think it helped him learn to ride better. And now when he gets a good horse, he appreciates it.
He knows it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that was I think David, that day he said that, it helped.
What do you think created that love of the game that he has? Because there's no one that loves roping more than that guy. He burnt me out in 19. I tried hanging with him. I was retarded. I'm not wired that way.
From time we started, and I'm going to say he's 9 or 10 years old, there wasn't no DVDs, there wasn't no VCRs, wasn't none of that. The only thing you could do is order a book, and Leo Camarella put the book out on team roping. I've got pictures of him right now, 9 years old, going to sleep with it laying across his chest. He never wanted to do nothing but rope. That's all he wanted to do. He didn't want to. It's just, he loves it that much. He loved the rope. And right now, he can start at 8 o'clock in the morning and we can rope to 6, 7 o'clock that evening. And halftime and get done, he stays in the barn, ropes the dummy. He just loved it. I mean, he didn't care about nothing else. And when we started radio, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world because he was with me and his mama. Well, him and Jay and Cody, all of them were. We'd all be at the pen, but we'd all be together, and I think that's the reason what you're talking about, why we're so close. That's just, Luke's, 50? So,
And guys are still in the same spot out there in the arena together.
That's what I told him the other day. I looked over at him and started laughing. I said, damn, Luke, here I am 73 and you're 50 and I'm still trying to heal for you. He said, ain't no shit. So, I just think he just loved it. And then I knew where they were on the weekend because they was going to be at a rodeo. So I knew where my boys were 7 days a week, all three of them. I knew where they was at. I didn't have to worry about some of the stuff other parents have to worry about. I knew where they were. And then when Luke left home, even to this time, when he ropes at Houston tomorrow night, and I'll bet you $100 he'll call me 15 minutes after he ropes. Do you see that run? He called me every time. So, he just loves it. I mean, I don't know. The only person I've ever talked to, I talked to Jimmy Cooper the other day, and me and Jimmy Cooper were talking, and he said, "Do you rope a lot?" I said, "Man, I like to go rope 10 or 15, then I like to ease off and, sit in a recliner." And he started laughing. He said, "Not me." He said, "I could rope from 8 o'clock to 6. I said, "Dan, you need to come rope to Luke." I said, "You need to come over there." So I reckon it just, he just loves it that much. Mm-hmm. He's really good about taking care of his horses.
Yeah, I've never met anyone that loved it more than him. It's pretty inspiring. What about Nick when Caleb was growing up? Was this something he always wanted? Was there something else he enjoyed doing, or was this, you could tell at an early age this was the route he was taking?
Yeah, he's always he had older cousins that roped calves and rode horses and stuff. So
now, did you rope?
I roped calves in high school.
Okay.
And then when I got married, kind of went, I rode horses some, but wasn't really roping very much. I was 25 before I started team roping. When he was little, I mean, before he could hardly walk, he was dragging a rope around in the house, and he finally got big enough to actually swing a rope. He roped everybody and everything, and he carried a rope with him everywhere he went. Junior was out at the house today and roping, and his little boy was there. And I said, it reminds me of Caleb when he was little like that. I mean, he's constantly trying to rope something, throw it, it might be a fence post or somebody walking by, a dog, whatever. He was playing with a rope and he was trying to rope something. And he was always like that. And like I said, time he could walk good, he wanted to rope. And
so did you guys have your own arena there at the house?
Yeah. We had an arena, till Caleb, we moved when Caleb was 12. We moved over to Albany, Georgia. And, I actually went to work. I worked shift work at an air traffic control center, 24/7, 365. I mean, I worked the weekends a lot, worked evenings, nights a lot and stuff like that. So it really kind of interfered with their timing and my timing, being able to get in the arena and practice with them and rope with them. And so I had opportunity to take this job. It's a couple hours away from where we actually grew up. When we moved over there, then I lived about 15, 20 minutes from Brad Culpepper and 30 or 40 minutes from Jimmy Tanner. Another guy that ropes back there, a lot of people don't know him, that some of the guys around the Southeast know him, is Jason Hill. He headed for Brad for a little bit there one year, come out, but he was got homesick, I guess, and went home, but he's real handy. He could really, he was a real deal. He could rope, but we'd go over and rope with him. Well, I was actually living in my horse trailer because we hadn't bought a place and my wife was teaching school. So she didn't move when I first went to work over there. So I would just take the horse trailer over there and plug in there at Jason's, take me a couple of horses. And so I'd practice with him in the afternoons when I got off work. I'd just stay Monday through Thursday, whatever. We worked 4 10s or whatever days of the week that I had to work, either Monday through Thursday or Tuesday through Friday. I would just stay there. In the evenings, I would rope with Jason. So when Caleb got out of school, he would go with me, and him and Jason rope all day and all night. And that's where when his roping really turned around. I think he could go catch, and he was good. He roped good before that. But when he started roping with Jason, they was riding colts, 2-year-olds that you couldn't hardly ride down the road, but they'd be tracking the donkeys around enough you could get around there and throw your rope. He just roped with him all the time. And then as he got a little older, and we roped at the house, and stuff. And We went over to Jimmy's one day, and Caleb was over there, and he'd been healing. You know, that's what he wanted to do in high school. Well, from 12 to probably 17, he healed. So I had a pretty good head horse, you know, and he started wanting to head because he didn't have anybody like at the high school rodeos, you know, that would head him for him like he wanted. So he started back heading, and we go over to Jimmy's one night, and he's heading, you know, and next thing I know, him and Brad's done start, you know, they start going to the IRAs and the PCAs and all that stuff, you know, they kind of just took off from there. But
that is wild then how fast he picked it up then. Because if he healed and just kind of headed, but then
he would head some because I'd keep some outside horses, like, you know, kind of getting them started for people, you know, and stuff. So I was starting. So I'd get him to head some for me, you know, like when I was riding some of the heel horses, you know, that was trying to get started, I'd be trying to get them started, and I'd get him to head for me. So he was heading some, but like he hardly ever headed like at a jackpot or the rodeos or any of that stuff. You know, he concentrated on his healing, but he headed until he was about, I guess, 11 or 12. And then he just kind of like got like, you know, I want to heal. Things wasn't happening fast enough for him, I guess, whatever. So he wanted to heal. You know, he heals for a while, and then he turns around like, yeah, I think I'm going to hit.
He couldn't get nobody to catch for him.
I guess that's what it was.
Oh, Dougie was right.
Yeah, first time.
Found out them healers will starve you to death.
We could just catch 4. We'd light these 7.5s on fire.
The first time we go out to U.S. finals, Caleb is probably 8 or 9. I had a really good heel horse. I'd been healing some, you know, and we get out there, and Caleb's heading for me, and he backs in there, you know, and he's 3 foot tall, and he backs in there, and he comes across there, and he just runs up in the middle of them, just sticks it on, turns them off, you know, because I'm up there like I'm a 8 healer. You know, I'm fixing to go off on him, and then I turn in and I track him about 17 hops across there, you know, make sure I'm catching. I can't, you know, I can't miss for it, you know. I was scared to throw because I said, man, I can't miss. You know, he's a little kid. I can't miss for it. And the announcer, whoever there was at the Lazy E at the jackpot at the time, the announcer was there, and he's like, Caleb, you're doing an awesome job, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to get you a better healer. You know, this guy here's cattle drive. He's going on the cattle drive.
My dad always told me that because he had the hardest time roping for me when I first started, and he would catch for, you know, dang near everybody else he'd rope with. But then for me, and he finally figured out what it was because he'd be sitting there coaching me through it, watching, making sure I got it dialed and did everything right. Then he looked down, he's like, I ain't even started my rope yet. He said it took a minute to kind of remember to be a healer and not the coach.
Yeah.
Luke always headed. We'd go to radio, and I'd look over at him. I said, what you going to do? Dad, I'll just tell you, if I get out there, I'm throwing everything I got. If I don't, I'm not. What the hell does that tell me? Just be ready. He could throw a lot.
Yeah.
Little. And
well, I remember when Driggers first came out, I don't know if he was 18 or 19 when he was at San Antonio, and he was first out. I remember because Brad pulled him out of the Southeast.
Yeah.
And never heard of him. I just figured he'd be good. Anytime you seen Brad show up, you was like, all right, he found somebody. And I think he was the first team out at Houston, if I remember right, or excuse me, San Antonio. I think he was first out of the whole rodeo and set the arena record. But yep, they were right. This kid's good. Never been there.
Was he on top of the trailer with 2 ropes?
He should have been. I remember watching them on Instagram. I think we were up there at Ellensburg, and he was on the hay pod throwing his whole rope. Because we didn't have nothing to do up there because you go to 2 rodeos a week, you know, once Ellensburg starts. And yeah, he was up there watching them. Like, God, that inspired me because I was like, now that's how you play around with the rope and get good, because I think even if that steer jumped out of the arena, I still think Caleb could get him even in the 5th row.
Yeah. Tie 2 ropes together and they pick up.
The time the rope company put on the reaching contest at the finals, well, every day Caleb would win it. So finally somebody got back and roped it as far as he did. So he just sat down and one swung it. That stopped that competition.
I'm out.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over.
He sat out on the floor, had the knot in his head, and one swing.
If you're interested in coming to a clinic this year, my 2025 clinic schedule is posted on charlycrawford.training. Go there and see if we are headed to an arena near you. If you're wanting to host a clinic, I have a few dates available. March 7th through 9th, March 28th through 30th, May 30th through June 1st, July 11th through 13th, August 29th through 31st, September 12th through the 14th, September 26th through the 28th. My October is open, and November. All the details and the easy sign-up form can be found on my website under the Clinics tab. If you have any questions, email me at charlycrawfordtraining@gmail.com.
Now, Bob, you roped calves a lot there in Tennessee, right?
That's all
So
I did.
what did, was Chad, was he a calf roper then for the longest time when
Yeah.
you guys were getting started?
That's
Then
what
when,
he roped dummies and calves, yeah.
and when did you guys start team roping?
As soon as he got big enough, he was probably 9. We started team roping then. And I never had team rope and still don't team rope. I follow him and twirl the rope a lot, but anyway, we started hauling him to junior high and high school, and they had a little once a month roping in Kentucky where you could rope for $10 and $15, and we'd load up everything I had and go up there, and he'd rope with everybody. If they headed, he'd heel. If they heeled, he'd head. And
Did you guys have quite a few horses?
yeah, we had a lot of horses, and then I was training full time by then, and so we'd take every kind of old horse in the world. Then when Chad got 11, we did get him some pretty nice horses, but he had to ride junk every day, all day. He got to haul good horses, and when he was at home, he roped on the stuff I was training for people. It was good for him.
Well, it carried over because, I mean, he's still doing the same thing, but, you know, he's made me want to kick my own ass. I don't know how many times, you know, I remember I had about 2 or 3 futurity horses one year when I retired, and I was futuritying on him, and of course, Chad, he's been rodeoing full time, and he shows up with 5, and I don't know when, how, where he trained him or how he got him rode, but he got there and kicked my ass on all of them, and I'm like, what the hell was I doing with my time? I mean, I was home every day, and I don't even know how he got them. I mean, he could make and I tell you what he could do too. Not only did he show them good, but they work good. You know, he was one of the few guys I could get on. If I had to fly somewhere, I could get on his horses because they were easy. It was black and white. They knew when to go, they knew when to turn left, and they knew when to face. They were so easy.
When I was at the arena, he could not mess up the horse. Now, his whole deal was score good, get your horse up there, hold him up, rope, make sure he didn't duck, get your dally, make him take a hold of the cow, then turn off stuff. So he was always pretty happy when I went in the house. When I was out there, it wasn't no messing up a horse. But when I left, they'd go pretty wild then.
Then the NFR came out.
Oh, yeah.
Cocking their ropes and hanging over the
yeah.
chute.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when he first came out here on Handsome, the gray. Man, I loved that horse. That horse was so good.
It was a runaway. No mouth.
Yep.
No mouth.
Yep. But just would work.
He'd work.
Yeah.
He knew his job and he did it.
Mm-hmm. What, when he won the world title, what was that like? You know, being his dad and seeing growing up, you know, the whole time. And then when he stands on that stage being the best in the world.
I couldn't believe it. It's still hard for me to believe. He's won it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Been to the NFR 15 times, I think, and I still think I'm in a dream.
You know, I always tell so many kids too, because there's so many of them that think that they have to be born into it.
we got to be born into it, all these different things. And well, I'm not part of the club and, things like that. And I'm like, man, that's some of the best headers and ropers in the world. Their parents rope, but they, look at where you guys came from, Georgia, Nick, and South Carolina and Tennessee. And there's some of them that, came from, they had to work their way to get here. And so to me that it's not about where you're at or the opportunity you have. It's about, what you do with the opportunities you have. And those three were prime examples of that. Same thing with my dad. My dad was a huge fan of roping, but, he went to maybe a few rodeos here and there, but he dang sure wasn't in the clique. And so a lot of, you look at a lot of the guys that make the NFR and seems like rarely do they come from the dads that actually made it. It seems like those kids had some kind of drive when they were born and had a love for it that just never stopped them. But some of the funniest Chad stories that I've got was when he was talking about when he was at the high school finals and he went in the shower because you guys didn't have a shower and he had to go in the shower and he didn't know whether to go in the shower with his underwear or not. And he was like, come on, Chad, don't be a little bitch. Don't be a little bitch. Because you don't want to be the guy in there with your white underwear on and everyone else is naked.
Yeah, but
So he said, I just walked in there and I threw my underwear in the locker and I walked on in there and everyone in there was in their underwear. And he's like, well, everyone looked at him and basically just stopped and, they right then and there and looked at him like, well, I'm already here. So that fit his mentality 100%.
We had a lot of Cuban friends. And those were all pretty dark complected, and they lived in Florida. So Chad, he goes down there, and they just stop. They got lots of money, and they just stopped working. And they took him mud bug, with the big wheels on the mud things. They took him wind boat, and they took him to play. They played for 2 weeks. He said, Bob, Chad was the first really true albino I ever saw.
I laughed about them too when Luke said he was mad. I think he was when he drove with Monty Joe, and he's mad. He missed a couple in a row. And I thought they said something about maybe they were changing a tire. I forget what happened. Luke's still mad because he missed. He ain't been catching. He's like, man, I can't catch nothing, man. So I tell you what, man, you should just whip me on the back with, I think there's a road sign there or something like that, or a stick. I forget what it was. And Chad, you got to be real careful when you're around Chad, because if you tell him that, man, you should do something, he'll just do it. You want to grab that stick and start whooping the hell out of the back of Luke's back.
I remember that. I remember Luke saying he called Chad and told him, he said, I'm going home. I'm done. I'm through. Chad said, don't call me anymore till you win something, and hung the phone up on him. Then he won Pendleton, and that's what got him into the NFR.
Luke said he went back in the box and went and cocked his rope. He's like, ah! He said he still had whip marks on his back. He said, I ain't going to lie, though. I wrote better after that.
That's a day of trip.
I think he said they were even somewhere at a rodeo, too. And he's like, man, I ain't been heading very good. I should have you whip me on the back again. And he said he just took the tail of his rope, whipped the shit out of me.
Those boys are closer than brothers.
They is. Yeah.
They're closer than brothers.
Yeah. So what, Bob, I heard you're about to go on number 4 for grandkids. I know Coy, he's 4 now, and Rise 3, and Hardy, has she 1 now?
16, she's 16 months old.
Yeah.
And
I heard, is that right? Another one, maybe?
Yeah, we got another one coming.
Dang right.
I've always told Chad that he's going to have to, wipe my mouth and stuff after I get to where I have to, when I'm slobbering on myself and stuff. I told him the other night, I said, son, you going to keep on. So me and you both ain't even going to have no place at the table. We're going to be at the little old bitty table over here at the end. And Coy and them is going to be coming by wiping both our mouths.
wild little guys. Is a girl? Is that right? I heard.
Yeah, it's another girl.
So it'll be 2 and 2. That'll be awesome.
The little girl's going to be the boss.
Yeah,
the one that's Hardy Joe. She's tougher than all of them, and they're all tough. But she wins.
Yeah, a younger girl with 2 older brothers. I would think that they're going to have to be nails to survive, especially around there.
Yeah. She don't even know she's supposed to cry when she falls or has a bad wreck or something. She just gets up and goes off.
I bet she just leads you around by your little finger, doesn't she?
Oh, yeah. She's in control.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen Libby in Big Luke.
Poor Libby. She can't help it. Luke Werner, Luke Carson. They've run that kid.
That girl is lucky to have me and Carson teaching her things.
You think you're going to trick Libby about something? You think you're going to kid her? Nah. It ain't happening. She's ahead of you.
She's had plenty of practice.
She's how to get way ahead of you.
Tell him what you told Luke and lace it up.
I said, Luke, I said, I had Lacey too. I said, look, y'all know how parents are thought of being good parents and stuff by the way the people that they let their kid go off and be like this is their role model. And I said, man, the issue, Luke and Big Luke and Carson, he said, we messed that up, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah. You pretty much messed that up.
What about old Ledger? He's not quite a year old yet, is he, Nick?
No, he's not. Going on 10 months, I guess.
Mm-hmm. What do you think he's going to be getting into?
Probably everything.
Anything he wants to.
Yeah.
They say I remember somebody was telling me a long time ago. They said if they raise their kids right, then the grandparents are able to spoil the kids. But if they spoil the grandkids, but if they spoil their kids, then they have to raise their grandkids. So you guys are in a pretty good spot where you guys get spoiled.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't sure about that because I got Carson. Are you saying God's punishing me?
You messed that up somehow, too.
I think you're looking at it wrong. It's Carson's babysitting him.
They told Carson, you're assigned Big Luke. This is your responsibility. This will grow you up fast. If you ain't careful, you're going to grow up like this.
You work in assisted living.
Carson, kids me about being in a nursing home. He said, Mom, how do you get out of the nursing home every day? I said, most nursing homes, they don't let you out every day. And I said, I got them old ropes. They've tied a rope out there and I crawl out the window, slide down them ropes. And one day I seen him and I said, man, Carson, you're going to have to bring me another rope. They done move me up to the 3rd floor.
Narrow over there that comes up Chad. Narrow.
Oh, Daryl?
Neural Bernie.
He said when Carson first moved here, he said for the first 2 weeks, you could ask that young man a question and said before he'd answered, he'd raise his hand and say, can I speak? He said he lived with him for 2 weeks. Now you can't get a damn word in.
When you answer somebody lies anyway.
My dad, he had before he'd passed, he'd had a few of the his grandkids coming over and they wanting to learn how to rope. good kids too. And they had come from like the BMX and the bike ride and stuff like that. And so anyway, the oldest one, he was wanting to come over there and hang out with my dad and rope and ride and be a cowboy and stuff. And he got pretty good at it. And, when my dad passed, my dad had given him some horses and stuff. And anyways, I think when he was learning how to rope with my dad, and my dad was kind of coaching him around and stuff, and he wanted to learn how to rope, and he told Tyler, he says, all right, well, now see this steer out a little bit. He doesn't run much, because I think he kept nodding, running by the steer or whatever. And he said, he told me that, and I didn't even know what the heck that meant. Like, storm out there. I don't even know what he was talking about. He said, so I just nod and just kick and run by the steer. And he goes, gosh dang it, Charlie, I said to see that steer out there and quit running by them son of a bitches. Tyler, so he looked up and goes, I ain't Charlie, I'm Tyler. He said, I guess old habits just die hard. So he said, hell, I ain't been over there knowing how long my dad's still chewing my ass.
I think you're real lucky, though, if you can raise your kids and get along with them and the grandkids, especially.
Well, it's been fun having mine here. They've all been learning how to ride out here. And yeah, it makes fun roping and staying out there in the pen and watching them giggle and watching them get terrified at a lope, but now getting confident at a trot. And
no matter whether they do it right or wrong.
Yeah.
You can't fuss.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's been
Got to
fun.
make it fun.
That's the great thing about this industry, man. And like I say, you started however long, and now you're doing the same arena and now watching the grandkids come through there.
Yeah. That's, I think you're way ahead. Way ahead.
Yeah. It's been fun. Well, man, I appreciate you guys coming on, man. I truly enjoyed it as always.
I enjoyed
I got one more story I want to tell you. I told Big Luke, but here, 4 or 5 years ago, I'd went up to Oklahoma up there, and I had a young horse, and I'd been riding some and started jackpotting on him. And so I go up there, and they have like a little $20 jackpot, a little indoor pen up there, but at where my daughter and son-in-law live. But I don't know anybody up there. The one guy that runs the fairgrounds there. So I called him. He said, yeah, come on up here. I'll rope with you. We can get you some runs. So I go up there. Well, I'm riding around. Don't nobody know me, old man there and all them kids are in there, and I go up and talk to somebody, hey, anybody need a help, like want to heal one for me, and this, that, and the other. And they all full, And I said, I know what they're thinking, I'm like, so got to play my ace card. I said, do y'all know Caleb Driggers? I said, who? I said, Caleb Driggers? No, and there's 3 or 4 of them sitting on their horses, and I'm talking to him. He said, well, what does he do? I said, well, he team ropes. He's a header. He's been to the NFR a few times, and stuff, you team rope, like you watch the NFR, So I'm thinking, these kids probably know him, so I'm trying to play my ace card, like maybe they think, hey, we'll rope with you. So like, we'll rope an old man,
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and I'm trying like, Caleb, no, they don't know who Caleb is. And I said, oh, okay, well, never mind, whatever, it says what, and he said, well, who does he rope with? I said, well, he's roping with Junior Nagata. He ropes with Junior Nagata, your son? Hey. And then he starts yelling, telling everybody, hey, his boy roped with Junior Nagata. Yeah. Never heard of Caleb Driggers. Junior now. We know who Junior is.
That's funny.
Chad says it's embarrassing when Derek Begay's at a signing and his line is longer than the other 14 guys.
It'll wrap around the booth at least twice the amount of people that'll be lined up.
Yeah.
It is wild. It is so wild. Yeah, Jackie, she goes through that stuff a little bit. So I've actually done some breakaway clinics last year. And so I just started off with, yep, I'm him. He is me. I'm Jackie Crawford's husband. I used to have my own stats, but now
I'm Jackie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a smart move, Johnny.
It'd be the same thing when I would go out there. Then that line will wrap around.
Who do you think made Jackie Crawford? Did anybody know, of course, you got the Crawford name? No. Of course, you don't have to jack it out.
No. Exactly. My story.
That's a good, come on.
We used to tell them, we taught them everything they know, but then we had to rope. then we had to go somewhere and we had to rope in front of them. So I said, nah, that didn't happen. I didn't learn nothing from these two.
That's crazy how people say, did you teach Luke how to rope? I said, well, hell yeah. I said, when I was his age, I could throw a rope in my half. He can't throw but one rope. I knew somebody had to teach me. You don't ever back up.
No.
You go forward.
No one expected you ever to. Yeah, for sure.
You go forward.
I remember hearing about when Luke would win rounds, everyone knew Luke, Big Luke. They knew who Big Luke was. They almost didn't know who won the round. They just knew who Big Luke was.
I walked up the stage one night and I was sober and I said, shit, this is what this thing looks like. He said, yeah, if you'd act sober more, you I'll tell you one good one, though. You'll get a kick out of it. We was staying at Mandalay Bay. You remember when the Classic used to?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I read a sign when it was coming out. Pitbull, whatever how you say it. Pitbull. Well, Libby was she may not have been a year old then. I know she was real little, and I was sober. You know, we're leaving the NFR. We're going back to Mandalay Bay to eat supper. And I'm thinking, ain't no damn way me and Libby's walking through that lobby with them pit bulls in there.
Now I see why you said you started this conversation sober. I know I'm sober.
I said, I am not walking through that lobby with Libby carrying pit bulls. Now, Debbie wasn't scared of no dog. Lacey wasn't. Luke's kind of scared of it. But if one come toward me, it'd be on me. So we make we make the turn and we're going up through there. And I said, look, think we can go in the back way. He said, why you want to do that? I said, that'd just be better. I think it'd be better. And he said, no. He said, they got to park the car, did? I said, well, I'm just going to tell you right now. Me and Libby's going to walk around. I'll carry her. Me and her's going to the back. He said, why would y'all go to the back? I said, they got a damn show up there tonight with pit bulls in it. And I thought the three of them would laugh so hard. He pulled right up there to the front. And I said, hey, I'm serious about this now. I said, I'm not teasing. And they were still laughing so hard. And I'm thinking, why are they laughing so hard? You know, and I didn't know he was a singer. Yeah, I never had heard of him.
I've never seen this guy on CMT.
I was really nervous about walking through. I was using Libby kind of as an excuse. I didn't have no knife. I didn't have nothing. But, yeah, you'll do things like that.
I never thought about that, too, because it was a dog. That even makes more sense. What has Caleb's already roped at Houston?
No, I think they're up Sunday, start Sunday.
Do they? I know Luke, he's on his way there right now, isn't he?
He ropes tomorrow night.
And then Chad said he'd already been.
It's true.
How you done?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a game changer, that one. I think $65,000 I thought I heard it pays now. They had another $15,000 for first, so.
Does all of it count?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, last I heard anyway. But yeah, that's a good one. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on, man. I sure enjoy your kids. Sure enjoy you guys enjoy the stories, man. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to be able to laugh again. I enjoy having you guys. Every time I see y'all, I know a laugh's coming.
No, we're really serious type people. Don't you think? If he'd come to the bar maybe tomorrow night or Friday night.
Got a bar in La Pen now.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Really.
Topless dancer.
So Thursday, Friday, Saturday night.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, topless dancer.
Well, if Luke gets drunk enough, yeah. Yeah, he might take his shirt off.
As long as you don't kiss me on the
tried
lips.
everything else.
Tax-free money, no tax on tips nowadays. We got Trump up there, so work it.
They charge enough anyway.
Yeah.
Bob bought 3 last week and he said, I'm done. He said, don't bring no more.
Yeah.
I said, no, keep them coming. He said, no.
Yeah, they do keep them going. Me and Luke, I think they want us to stay, so they just keep buying. Beer just keeps showing up.
Well, where's that located at?
You know where all they used to sell all the tables and chairs and junk in the middle of the street.
Mm-hmm.
These 2 young ladies bought that whole little strip mall, and they completely remodeled inside, outside. It's nice, and one of those.
Well, that gives the guys something to do now in Lipan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The donut shop still there?
She's first thing she said she's going to build a wine, and they do have wine. And they have tables and divans and stuff for the wine drinkers. And I said, I don't know. You probably ought to put a TV up there and show the NFR and they got 2 of them now. The wine thing I don't think it worked out very, very good, but the rodeos,
The Cowboy Channel have it on.
the Cowboy Channel is on two big TVs.
Mhm.
Yes.
That'll bring that's the right audience for that.
It's good.
We told them they need to get liquor in there, and she said, we don't want that crowd. And they both looked at one another and said, what the hell did you do? You know, we didn't, I mean,
Time to go.
I didn't get it. And she said, we don't want that crowd in here. And I'm thinking, that's the difference in the liquor and the beer. I mean,
Have you guys watched that show Landman yet?
oh, yeah.
When he talks about, do you want anything to drink now? Let's have a Michelob Ultra.
Yeah. They said he's not what did he say? He's not a drunk now. He
Yeah.
quit drinking.
Quit drinking.
Yeah, drink beer.
What about them 15 Michelob Ultras you drink? This don't count. You put 15 shots of whiskey right here, and I'll have 15 Michelob Ultras, and you tell me if you see a difference.
I can't believe that man can sit down and write them things like he can.
Oh,
That's hilarious.
it is fascinating.
It is.
I tell you what, I liked Yellowstone. I just didn't like the language. I mean, I'm not saying that some ranchers may not cuss that much, but majority of the ones that I know, it wasn't quite that much. But you put that same lingo now in a roughneck out there in West Texas. Now that fits. That's kind of the lingo, and I thought it fit the oil industry great. And I loved how he brings in 2 perspectives. He kind of brings in a liberal perspective that don't know when they're talking about oil and gas and energy. And I thought he did a great job of being able to explain how much stuff we use that comes out of the bottom of that ground or under that ground.
And how deep
Mhm.
they have to get. I didn't know you could drill, which you may not can. That may have been, they said you drill sideways or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it got direction.
The other one he wrote,
I really liked 1883. I like history. So I really liked the one that settled here and the trips and stuff that, that and a lot of people said that he's a great historian. He looks up a lot of the history and, when he's making them movies.
The one that's about the arm, all the services. Gosh, I can see her. I can see that girl that plays in it.
The Lioness.
Yeah,
I haven't got to watch that one. I haven't got to binge watch nothing yet, but I had that one written down.
It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, that guy does good work.
They said, I read an article on him. He said that when he was an actor, he made like, I think it was like he had like 8,000 in the bank or something like that. And he'd seen right quick he wasn't going to make it as an actor, and he went to write. Now he's got millions.
He's a poet, man. He's got a wild mind on how he can be creative.
Well, you know, he wrote the two. I didn't know what Darryl told me. He wrote, you seen the Sicaro movies?
Mm-hmm.
He wrote both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched him on Joe Rogan. I really enjoyed watching him too. He's an interesting, like I say, he's that's his mind he's creative. It's cool what he can do. I love them shows. I'm curious to see what the spinoffs are going to be when they kind of bring back what Yellowstone is. I've heard that there's some things that he's maybe bringing in.
I believe we're going to see John Dutton back. I don't believe he died.
That's a good conspiracy.
I do. I think that everything I've been reading about.
Kind of like Epstein. He didn't die.
Oh yeah.
I don't think John Dutton died.
Oh, yeah, he died. Yeah. McCarthy's the same way. We don't think we think that was something to.
Yeah, I don't know.
And being Taylor Sheridan, it wouldn't surprise me.
He can pull it off. Whatever it is, you're going to want to start watching.
Yeah. I
like how he brought the Western industry to it. I love how he's kind of brought the working cow as well. You know, I know everybody that I talked to in Vegas this year during however much as expensive as everything was, whatever you want to call it, whether recession or all the stuff just getting skyrocketing in prices, that they had the best year that they'd ever had, breaking records.
Does he own the 4.6s?
I'd heard that he does.
That's what
maybe a partnership, but I know he's involved with it. So yeah, what a great way to promote it in his movies. But man, I've heard the Cowboys hats that is selling now is just off the charts. I think a lot of that has to do with being Cowboys cool again, and our culture's changing. You know, we're starting to see where.
Well, the Cowboy Channel has helped it.
And the Cowboy Channel for sure.
Helped it a lot. And the people that they've had on there, you know, that's helped it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, educating the fans and having, you know, where you can start watching and following.
That one right there has helped it a lot.
Yeah, Kid Rock, you're dang right. He's the man. Mm-hmm. I love that guy. Yeah. I went to a concert. I think I've been in 10 or 12 Kid Rock concerts.
You're lucky.
And I'd love to be a season ticket holder to the show he has. I'm actually going to his comedy jam in April. He's hosting a comedy jam in Nashville. I've been to Nashville, but I've never got to go look around. I've always just flown there and drove out.
He has a new club, Kid Rock does, and
big ass honky tonk.
Yep, it's 3 floors, and he keeps a live band on all 3 floors at all times.
I can't wait to go.
He must be talented.
And they're excellent bands, and they have to audition to play for nothing.
He's got to be
He's creative.
Talented. That day at Kid Rock, he played every instrument.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Everyone on the stage.
I watched him one year at Cheyenne, and he started off with a prayer, but he rock and rolled it pretty good. But it was dang sure rock and roll. But I thought it was pretty cool. Like, he prayed for everyone that came there, and they hope they enjoy it, hope they get more than their money's worth on the way there, and then, you know, everyone has a safe trip, and you know, I mean, he prayed over the camp. Then, of course, then it started off with, then I think they did the Amen, because that was one of his songs. And then I think it kind of was an intro into he was a rock and roll Jesus. And then it rocked on from there. And then halfway through the concert, he had it to where it was kind of an intermission, but he gave props to all the states of what they were known for and how great it was to be an American, and from the steel workers in Pennsylvania to everything, you know, to the Wild West of, you know, all the places. But it was like almost all 50 states, or at least the regions. And you could see it. And when you left there, like, he's like proud to be an American. So I think with what he stands for and what he's seen in the Western industry, I think, and it's really starting to fit, because I've seen him on some podcasts with Theo Vaughn, and, you know, with this team concept that he's got going on, it's got a lot of other people like, man, I love rodeo. You know, how do we get a team? So he's starting to really bring some of that to some people that I really think are going to start even helping get, he was, I think he knew the CEO or something like that of Bad Boy Mowers or something like that. And he was wanting, how do I get a team? So he's getting more people that are wanting to kind of get drawn to it, because I think the woke stuff everyone is getting tired of. And in rodeo, we haven't gone that direction. We still pray before every rodeo and take our hat off during the national anthem. You better be crippled if you're not standing up. Mm-hmm. And so I think it really molds with kind of how he perceives things. But yeah, that rodeo's coming up, I think, in May. I took that weekend off, so I get to go hang out twice.
It'll be good. It sure was good last year.
Oh, man, how fun was that? Drag race to team ropers. I mean, what are the red light, yellow light, green light? I mean, how cool? And then go. Yeah. Oh, he made the timed events worth watching again. Yeah, I mean, that was everyone was talking about was timed events.
Barrel racing, that was, I mean, people were just sitting there. How many people, really sit there and watch, and everybody was on the edge of the seat with the barrel race.
Like I said, that guy's creative. I'm sure there's going to be some kinks to work out, but I guarantee you he made timed events fun again.
I don't know who come with him light. I don't know who thought of that, but that was really, really smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited. I didn't get to go last year. I'm going to try to work out what I can to get front row.
Last year? Did you go, Nick? Did you go to Kid Rock?
No.
I thought you would have went.
Ready to go, Big Luke? I'm going.
Oh, I'm going.
I had to watch it on TV.
Oh, no. I sit beside Cody's wife and Jay. Thankfully, Kendra was on my death side because she sang every damn song he sang. She said, "Did you like that?" I said, "Yeah." I didn't hear a word she was saying. Because she was feeling no pain. Oh, yeah. Good. Good.
Well, Nick, how many horses you guys got over there? I heard some wild rumor on how many horses you guys got going on over there.
Probably 75.
God, I thought I heard. I was right.
Oh.
I thought I heard you guys have some stuff going on over there.
Yeah, there's a pile of them.
And you have to ride them every one every day, don't you?
Groom them, shoe them, everything.
Feed them.
Brushing them's what's hell.
Especially right now, they're all shedding.
Can't imagine how much show sheen he goes through.
That's all there. Breeding them, or you got some on the ground now?
Yeah.
That's where I think a lot of this stuff is going to be going. I think when they start finding, between Caleb and Trevor and Miles and a lot of people, I think they're starting to see some breedings that they're liking. They're really fitting in the head side, and I think a lot of people are going to start breeding them because they're going to be harder to find. I think because people are going to be specifically now, I think, breeding 4-head horses, because I think we've been notorious for either finding blowed up barrel horses or blowed up race horses or some cutting rejects that gotten too big or whatever. And I think now is for the first time, I think we're going to be starting to breed for them. And so if a guy kind of has something he likes, I think you're going to have to start doing that.
Yep.
It's like you guys are right in the thick of it. Does Caleb feel like he's found some stuff that he really likes breeding wise?
Yeah, they've got several. I think he's got 8 mares there that he's personally got, and then their partner, he's partner Kingpin Genetics. It was him and Jake Cooper, and I think Jake sold his share out to Jeremy Varwick. And so they got some pretty nice mares, that's been, money earners. They've been fertility on, been roped on, and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's good.
So they're trying to find what crosses work and all that kind of stuff too. So
there's a lot to the head horse. They've got to be able to run, but they can't be too hot where they can't think, and they've got to be able to run, but the stride can't be too long where they can't collect to match the steer. There's so much mad science that goes on where, they have the mentality for it, that they got the stride for it. Can they actually physically do what they need to be doing? And it takes a minute. But yeah, I'm watching. I got to go with a few fraternities last year, and I hadn't gotten to go in a couple of years, and just watching the horses now starting to get to where you're starting to see where they're breeding for them, and the horses are getting better, but the training is getting unbelievable. It is wild how good these guys are getting. You know, like Tate Kirkenslager's riding 30, 40 head a day. So when you're getting something figured out, you're starting to figure out there's a certain technique to your training that's working and it's producing, and man, these guys are getting good at it. Andy Holcomb, I'm a huge fan of him. You know, I think him and Chad, in my opinion, Masters, I think, make those horses look so smooth and easy so much that unfortunately, and sometimes it doesn't get the points that I think they deserve because of how good they look and how easy they look. But they both remind me a lot of each other on their horses. They score good, run up there, get their legs under them in the right spot, and just don't miss a lick. And every one of them work the same. I think he's done a good job.
That's the ones Bob rides.
Just the one Bob. That's what I was giving Bob some credit to earlier, because I was like, how in the hell are these horses getting fraternity'd on when Chad's out there rodeoing? Well, Bob's out there putting the fine tune on them.
Run to the cow.
Run to the damn cow, Chad. Abort. I tell you what, Chad, start throwing. That shit ain't working no more. Start throwing.
I had never seen nobody know. I mean, just dead. I mean, just dead serious. Yeah. Son, you got to run to the cow. Chad, son, run to that cow. You can catch him. Chad, run to Chad, look here. You got to throw the damn rope. This thing you being ate every night, you ain't winning.
This is the NFR. This ain't Salinas.
Chad threw his hands up. I don't remember who he was roping. Well, that's funny.
Oh. Well, I know that tavern's going to be closing up here pretty soon there in Lafayette if you guys don't get out of here, I guess.
Yeah.
Happy hour is going to be over with here pretty soon. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. If you've been wanting to get into team roping or improve your skills as a beginner header, now's your chance. Join us for the NRS Beginner Headers Only Clinic at the NRS Arena in Decatur, Texas, April 25th through the 27th. This clinic is designed just for the beginner headers up to a number 3, focusing on roping the horns, solid horsemanship, and the fundamentals you need to build confidence and stay safe while having a great time. And if you can't make it in April, we've got another clinic happening October 3rd through the 5th. So you've got another chance to get in on the action. Don't miss out. Spots fill up fast. Head over to charlycrawford.training or check the podcast description to get the link to enroll. We'll see you in Decatur.